girl was heard screaming she was being beaten by someone. Desperately, she cried out for help from a boy named Jinta, who stood nearby, watching helplessly. Though he couldn't intervene, sorrow was clearly etched across his face. Shortly afterward, the man revealed to be the girl's father locked her in a confined space, leaving her alone despite her tearful pleas. He ignored her completely and walked away. Later, Jinta went to check on his sister and discovered that she had somehow managed to escape. Alarmed and relieved, he rushed out to find her. When he finally did, she was standing quietly by the path. He immediately noticed something strange. One of her eyes had turned red. Jinta tried to apologize, expressing his regret for not being able to help earlier. His sister reassured him, telling him not to worry. She understood that stepping in would have only gotten him into trouble. To her face, and together, they fled into the forest. They ran until they reached a remote area where the air was cold and the forest dense. There, a stranger approached them and offered to help. But before much could be said, Jinta collapsed from exhaustion. When he regained consciousness, he found himself being carried on the man's back, with his sister walking close beside them. Eventually, the trio arrived at a small village, which they soon discovered was home to blacksmiths. Susan, Jinta's sister, felt uneasy and commented on how strange the village seemed. The stranger led them to his home, where his daughter greeted him warmly. Witnessing the affectionate exchange, Jinta and Susan felt a deep sense of sadness, realizing how much they lacked a family like this one. The man explained to his daughter that the two children had no one to rely on, and he announced that he would welcome them into their family. His daughter Shirai was she approached Jinta and Susan, asking for their names. After they introduced themselves, Shirai beamed and said, "Let's be friends." Jinta responded cheerfully, calling her Shirai-chan, but she quickly corrected him, saying that since they would be family from now on, he shouldn't use such formalities. Jinta looked both surprised and overwhelmed, struggling to believe what was happening. That night, Jinta awoke to find the man quietly cleaning a sword. Curious, Jinta asked him if he was a samurai. The man shook his head and replied that he wasn't a samurai, but a guard who protected important people. Jinta was amazed, clearly fascinated by the man and his weapon. The following morning, Shirai invited Jinta to join her at a nearby pool. Susan also came along, joining them as the new day began. As their day wound down and they began the walk home, their new friend Shitsu turned to Shirai and asked why she ate so many dango. He remarked that she should consider eating more vegetables. Shortly after, Shitsu stepped away to answer her mother's call, while the three of them continued heading home together. Along the way, Jinta asked Shirai about her mother. Shirai told him that her mother's name was Yuka's and that she was the one who had allowed them to remain in the city. When Jinta inquired whether her mother ever left the shrine, Shirai confirmed that she did not. She went on to explain that her mother belonged to the Itsuhime, an ancient lineage associated with the power of fire. Shirai elaborated, saying that only her mother could wield that power, and her father served as her guardian. She also added that the power should not be used around ordinary people, as doing so might diminish its strength. With a somber tone, Shirai admitted that she hadn't seen her mother in many years, and 3 years later, Jinta had begun training in wood and sword fighting under Shirai's father, Maharu. Despite his efforts, he often ended up defeated. One day, Jinta confessed his frustration, saying he felt he hadn't made any progress. Maharu, however, reassured him, saying he was indeed improving, though his strength had not yet manifested. He predicted that Jinta would make significant strides in the coming years, but emphasized the need for continued focus. He then mentioned that he needed to leave for work. Before he left, Shirai returned his sword to him, reminding him not to forget it. The family exchanged their goodbyes. Afterwards, Shirai checked in on Jinta and asked how he was doing. Jinta responded that he was fine but told her she should stop fussing over him. Shirai insisted it was her duty as his big sister to encourage him. Jinta laughed and pointed out that he was actually older than she was, so how could she be the big one? Shirai playfully argued that being the most organized sister in the house made her the eldest by default. Just then, Susan woke up and approached them, asking what was going on. Jinta quickly said it was nothing important. Shirai informed them it was time for breakfast, and both girls stretched out their hands to Jinta for help getting up. Years later, after the death of Maharu, Jinta grew into a formidable warrior and became a protector of the village. One day, during a meeting at the shrine, the current priestess praised him, saying he fended off demons with remarkable skill every time they attacked. She said his actions were truly admirable. Jinta humbly responded that he was only fulfilling his duty to the village. The priestess asked him what kind of demon they were dealing with this time. Jinta explained that it was one disguised as a human, attempting to sneak into the village unnoticed. The head guard added that the demon's goal was to kill the priestess. He warned that demons could live for thousands of years, but if they consumed the priestess's liver, they would become immortal. One of the guards pointed out that they had not confirmed the demon's presence and couldn't verify any of these claims. The head guard replied that confirmation wasn't necessary, and reminded them that the previous priestess, Yuka's, had been killed by a demon. That particular beast had only been defeated when Maharu sacrificed his life. The priestess then speculated that the demons were searching for the sacred sword, Uriah, legendary weapon passed down through generations. According to her, the sword held immense significance for the demons. The head guard added that the sword had been crafted with extraordinary skill in this very city and had retained its magical powers for over a century. Now, it was feared that the demons aimed to seize this power for themselves. Another guard, Kumasa, tried to downplay the situation. The head guard eventually declared that the meeting was over, and everyone began to leave, everyone except Jinta. This irritated Kumasa, who watched him remain behind. The priestess turned to Jinta and asked if he was alone outside. When he confirmed, she told him to drop the formalities and step toward him. Catching Jinta off guard, she reminded him that she had already asked him not to treat her so formally when they were alone. Jinta responded that she was the priestess and deserved his respect. She insisted that he call her by her real name when they were in private, pointing out that he was the only one left who still could. Reluctantly, Jinta called her by her true name, Shirai. The name made her blush. Shirai confessed that she felt selfish for relying on him so much. Jinta quickly reassured her that it wasn't a problem at all. He reminded her that the Itsuhime always had a guardian to rely on. Shirai thanked him and mentioned that Susan was nearby, waiting to see him. She asked Jinta to come with her. Jinta followed Shirai to Susan, who was asleep. As he looked at her, he quietly remarked that if anyone discovered her presence at the shrine, she could be executed, given the strict rules. Shirai admitted she had just wanted to see him, especially since he hadn't returned home for 3 days due to his battles with demons. Jinta noted that her actions also broke the shrine's rules. He gently woke Susan, telling her he missed her, but warned her not to come to the shrine again, as it was forbidden to her. Susan protested, questioning why she couldn't come whenever she pleased. Jinta explained that those were the shrine's laws and she had to follow them. She agreed, though reluctantly. Suddenly, Jinta sensed someone approaching and warned Susan to stay quiet. She reassured him that she knew another way out and quickly slipped away just in time. Moments later, the head guard arrived and asked Shirai for permission to enter so he could discuss a few matters. When she allowed it, the head guard requested that Jinta wait outside. Jinta tried to argue, saying he shouldn't leave Shirai alone, but she gently urged him to comply. Outside the room, Shirai spoke to him again, telling him that the city's safety rested in his hands, and she hoped he would continue to defend her with all strength. Jinta's thoughts drifted to the past, recalling the day Shirai's mother died. Shirai had told him then that she would be named the new princess, succeeding her mother, and that she loved the city her mother had given her life for. She had stressed that the city must remain strong, as it once was, and that her appointment was necessary. However, she also lamented not seeing Jinta since then. In response, Jinta had promised her that he would work tirelessly until he saw her again, becoming stronger by following Maharu's path, fighting and eliminating all the demons. Only then would he become the village's guardian and be worthy of seeing her once more. Snapping back to the present, Jinta exited Shirai's room. Meanwhile, two demons were shown observing events. One asked the other how things were progressing. The female demon, while watching Susan from a distance, replied that everything appeared fine, though she added that no one believed it. The scene shifted to Jinta's house, where he woke and stepped out of his room. Susan woke up soon after and asked if he was heading to the temple. Jinta told her no, he didn't have any duties until noon. That answer made Susan happy, and she immediately moved to hug him. Jinta commented that the masks were beginning to slip from her eyes, and Susan adjusted them quickly to hide their unusual appearance. Just then, Shirai arrived, surprising Jinta. He asked how she managed to get there. Shirai replied that she had sneaked out and invited him to spend the day with her. Jinta was hesitant, reminding her that she was a princess and her presence outside was dangerous. Shirai assured him that she had received permission from the city leader. Susan chimed in, suggesting they all have breakfast together like the old days. They did so, and during the meal, Susan teased Jinta for not bringing better food for Shirai. Jinta warned her to be quiet or he'd smack her. Shirai laughed, saying they both knew he would never hit Susan. Jinta insisted that he could be firm when necessary, and that he could be tough too. Shirai didn't seem convinced, and Susan agreed, saying he wasn't like that at all. Jinta smirked and said they must be asking for trouble, which made both girls laugh. Susan jokingly told him, "All right, hit me." Jinta raised his hand, playfully, but couldn't bring himself to do it. Instead, he told her he'd let her off this time, and they all laughed again. Afterward, Jinta prepared to go out with Shirai. Seeing this, Susan appeared truly happy. Jinta turned to her and asked why she seemed so cheerful. She answered simply, saying, "Because you're going out with the princess for a happy day, and I think." When Susan told Jinta that his day with the princess would make him happy too, he smiled. They headed out together, and as Jinta walked beside Shirai through the streets, passers-by failed to recognize her as the princess. Many looked on in surprise, wondering how a man like Jinta was walking alone with such a beautiful woman. Their first stop was Cheeto's mother's shop. Shirai asked for 10 servings of dango, but Jinta quickly cut her off, saying they could only afford 2 orders and some tea. Shirai looked shocked and whispered, "Didn't she recognize me?" Jinta replied quietly, "It's been years. She doesn't remember you." Cheeto's mother brought the food and smiled warmly at Jinta. "I added some sweets. You always loved them when you were little." Jinta looked surprised. "You still remember?" "Of course," she replied fondly. "You used to come running in, begging for them." Jinta laughed and told her there was no need to apologize. As he tasted the sweets, he said they were delicious, and his words brought visible joy to Cheeto's mother. Later, walking with Shirai, Jinta told her gently, "I'm not your older brother anymore. I'm the city's guard now." Shirai nodded solemnly. "I know, nothing lasts forever." She added that it was one of their father's favorite sayings. Jinta said their father had always taught them life lessons, and he still felt guided by him. Shirai hoped they could be like their parents, protectors of the city. They arrived at their childhood meeting place. Shirai thanked Jinta for joining her today. He told her he had a great time. She looked at him and said quietly, "I feel bad. I only thought of myself and pushed this on you." Jinta asked, "But are you satisfied now?" "Of course," she answered, then admitted she had brought him here for a reason. "I came because I needed to tell you something important," she said. "This place meant something to us, so I wanted to say it here. Will you listen?" Jinta nodded. "Always." She took a breath and said, "I'm going to marry Kiyasa. The leader visited me yesterday and told me I must bear a successor. They don't want what happened to my mother to happen again. Kiyasa is a guard. He was born in this city, and they say he'll one day become chief. I believe this marriage will benefit everyone, and I lean toward accepting it." Then she looked at him, voice trembling. "But if I speak as Shirai, I love you, Jinta, but I must live as a princess now. I'm not Shirai anymore. I once thought about running away with you, starting a new life, just the two of us. But I knew you wouldn't agree." "You're right," Jinta replied solemnly. "I wouldn't, not because I don't love you." The scene shifted to Susan, who sat alone, anxiety creeping into her expression. Back at the temple, Shirai briefed Jinta that demons had been spotted in the forest. She instructed him to eliminate them. "Kumasa will stay to protect me," she added. "Good luck. I'll take care of them," Jinta replied before leaving. Outside, Kiyasa was waiting. He called out to Jinta, stopping him. "So, you heard about my marriage to the princess?" "I did," Jinta replied evenly. "And you didn't do anything?" Kiyasa pressed. "The city's safety and the princess's happiness are what matter to me most." Kumasa stepped forward. "Don't act like you don't love her. What about your heart, man? Are you crazy?" Jinta gave a half smile. "Of course I am." Then he walked off, leaving Kiyasa speechless. Elsewhere, Susan sat alone when a demon approached her. Back in the forest, Jinta continued his search until one of the demons launched a surprise attack. The demon sneered. "How did you dodge that? I know you're kind to of you," Jinta growled. "Where's the other one?" The demon smirked. "He's already inside the city. He's carrying out something important." Jinta struck swiftly, but his attack missed. The demon retaliated, grazing Jinta's face. Blood dripped, but Jinta didn't falter. He struck again, slicing off the demon's hand. The creature screamed but swung its other arm, narrowly missing as Jinta dodged. Clutching his severed hand, the demon said, "You humans, your lives are so short, yet your dreams, your evil will, you pass it on and surpass." Even us, the demon looked at Jinta's weapon. I know why you willed that sword. It's a challenge to nature, a way to gather strength. Jinta's eyes burned. I'll kill anyone who threatens the ones I love. Back to Susan, the demoness stepped closer and asked, do you know who I am? You're the demoness, Susan replied, shaking. Correct. I'm a demon, like you. I'm not like you, Susan said firmly. I'm human. You feel human because of your brother's love. That's what makes you strong. That's amazing, the demoness said, smiling eerily. Do you think your brother is amazing? Susan stepped forward. Of course I do. He means everything to me. I can see the young girl in your heart, the demoness whispered. There's someone planning to hurt your brother. Will you help me stop them? Come with me. The demons won't lie. She extended her hand. No, Susan said. Even if you can't hurt me, you might expose him to danger. The demoness narrowed her eyes. Then let me show you this. She projected a glimpse of the future Shirai's wedding to Kiyasa. Susan gasped. I have the power of foresight, the demoness said. You just saw the truth. Susan backed away. I don't want to know. You saw it. She chose that path. You're lying. Then let me show you more. She extended her hand again. This is for your brother. Susan hesitated and reached out. We returned to Jinta, who was driven into a river. Water splashed as he emerged, only for the demon to lunge at him again. Why do you hate humans so much? Jinta demanded. Because of what I am. The demon replied. Then that means continued. Jinta pulled his hands out of the Shay demon's body, blood dripping from his fingers. He told her that they had finally achieved their goal through so much blood. The Shay demon responded calmly. They had then, with a breath, she revealed that she had seen the future. According to her vision, demons would be unable to keep pace with the rapid changes in time. Darkness, she said, would eventually drown out the light of humanity, whose growth had come at the cost of their homeland. In the end, demons would no longer remain mere myths of the past. She declared that she could now die in peace, knowing she had secured a future for her sisters. As she passed, rain began to fall from the sky, slowly extinguishing the fires around them. Afterward, Jinta found Shira, held her tightly, and confessed with deep regret that throughout all his training, he had never once truly considered protecting her. Anger and guilt surged within him. He returned to his house, packed his belongings, and prepared to leave the city. Determined, he went to see the captain of the guards. The captain, noticing his resolve, asked where he planned to go. Jinta told him that he was heading outside the city to retrain himself. He said he needed to become strong enough to face the great demon that would one day threaten the city. The captain looked at him closely and asked if the demon he referred to was his sister. He then questioned whether Jinta truly believed he could kill her. Jinta replied that he had once loved Susan, just as he had loved Shira, but now only hatred remained. Then, without another word, he handed Jinta a sword. Jinta drew the blade and looked at it silently. The captain told him that this act made him a warrior bound to follow their customs and traditions. He gave him a new name, Kaji. Jinta hesitated, saying he wasn't worthy of such a weapon. But the captain explained that the sword had once belonged to the noble Akame family, and now that no one from the bloodline remained, letting the blade gather dust in the dark would be a waste. He believed it would serve a better purpose in Jinta's hands. He also said that if the princess were to die by that sword, perhaps she would finally find peace. With quiet sincerity, the captain then apologized to Jinta. He admitted he had known about the love between him and the princess. Jinta departed. Not long after his departure, Shu's mother came to see him off. Tears filled her eyes as she asked if he was truly leaving. Through her sobs, she told him that she would always remember him. She wept as he walked away, the rain still falling gently around them.